Welcome back. Welcome back to wookplus Mornings, your weekly stop where we round up all the top stories from inside the scene. Make sure to like and subscribe. Think about becoming a member if you dig what we're doing, because we don't have corporate sponsors. Let's get into it.
What's up, Don? Oh. What's going on in here?
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. We interrupt this program to bring you a news bulletin. Check it out.
wookplus Mornings.
When I think of the Beach Boys, I think of my mom. Still have 45s laying around from the Beach Boys days that were her from the 60s. There's that thing we were talking about the other night. If we can see that, Brother Records, Wake the World. I mean, the musical genius is undeniable. I mean, innovations in harmony, production, song structure. He reshaped pop music, and he left a mark on everyone from the Beatles to emo to indie pop to everything that's come down the line. Yeah, especially Pet Sounds and Smile, just truly brilliant records. Not that I ever put them on much because I have a little trouble, I guess. The soundscapes were visionary, yes, but many of the lyrics, often penned by collaborators, reflected a casual misogyny that portrayed women as objects of fantasy or to control. And I feel like it's important to honor his artistry, but also acknowledge the dated and sometimes troubling attitudes that were embedded in his songs. After he passed the other night, we got a lot of tributes rolling in. We'll run through some of the big names that posted stuff on social media, but what I really wanted to touch on was Dave Matthews. Dave has been just on a roll. Jason Crosby the other week, he had the harmonica player come out with him down in Brazil over this past weekend. And Wednesday night, he had Dave Pietro come out. Now, Dave's played with them two other times before. They did Jimmy Thing, which is the song, I guess, that Dave is most associated with. He guested on it over a decade ago. But I think the thing that really struck me about Dave's performance last night is that he did a impromptu solo rendition of the Beach Boys' God Only Knows. And he offered it in memory of Brian Wilson. There was a resonance. He did a little speech. You go check it out. You know, Dave is a little political. He was talking about the LA riots and things like that. And I feel like God Only Knows probably was the perfect cover that he could have done in that moment. Later in the set, he also did a cover of Sly's Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again, kind of linking two musical genius that died within days of each other. It was beautiful. There's a couple YouTube videos out there. Go check them out. Two different angles I found. One really good one of the screen, one with better sound quality from someone's seats, but they're out there. And there's a picture of Dave playing God Only Knows. All right, next up. Meanwhile, across the internet, Green Day frontman Billy Joe Armstrong was dealing with grief, I guess, in his own way, and he dropped a fiery rendition of I Get Around. Perfect. They're California guys, so he apparently did it in his home studio. It was a little punk, had some grit to it. Lo-fi, really fitting tribute, I think, from him. I feel like Brian Wilson is deep into Armstrong's musical DNA growing up in California, so. And he closed out the video with saying, "Thank you, Brian Wilson, one of my all-time favorite songs ever." So you can check that out. It's on the Instagram over there, I believe. It's probably floating around the YouTube too. Tributes like Armstrong were so many people. It's one of those people who dies where everybody puts out a statement. Paul McCartney called him a true friend and one of the greatest musical minds. Sean Lennon said he was the American Mozart. Dylan said he had long admired Wilson's genius. Questlove described discovering Pet Sounds as a moment of artistic awakening, like finding emo art long before emo existed. There you go. Yeah, Questlove, we're thinking alike there. Mick Fleetwood, Randy Bachman, Mickey Dolenz. Remember Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees? And Ron Wood all joined in the later Ronnie Wood remarking that the world was mourning not just Wilson, but also Sly Stone. So good for you, Ronnie, for throwing that in. Mike Love, Al Jardine, both did eulogies of their own, and Jardine calling it the ride of a lifetime. So it's been a week of mourning with both the music community at large and jam bands. I think that many of the musicians within our scene, our community, would say that Brian Wilson was an influence, and Sly Stone is, because anybody who tries to play the funk got that from Sly Stone. I mean, James Brown and Sly Stone, but Sly Stone had the rock and roll edge. He made it accessible. That performance at Woodstock is just mind-blowing. But so, you get a solemn cover, you get a fuzzed out punk salute, you get social media memories. I mean, his genius continues to resonate, and it's not nostalgia. I think it's a living, evolving force. Obviously, the Beach Boys are one of the bands that will be talked about in 50, 100 years, where most bands will be long forgotten. So I guess Dave Matthews probably said it best, is that the best thing we can do now is look out for one another, just like Brian always seemed to be doing through his songs. Definitely a beautiful, beautiful tribute there from Dave. All right, let's move on to a couple more stories. And then we'll get out of here. It's been kind of a slow week out there. So what do we got next? All right, we got Machine Gun Kelly and Bob Dylan. So Machine Gun Kelly has an album coming out, Lost Americana, and apparently he has a bromance with Bob Dylan. The album's coming out August 8th. Sam Cahill did the trailer, and Dylan says he frames the album as a personal excavation of the American dream, an ode to dreamers, drifters, and the defiant, evoking Americana through neon diners and open roads. So you know what? I really want to hear the Machine Gun Kelly album now. I mean, I don't know much about him. I know that years ago my kids were into him. They might have even gone and seen him down at Pier 6 one time. I'll have to check in on that. All right, we got two more things I'm going to throw out. I just wanted to talk about Brian Wilson a little bit, really, and we show up every week, so that's part of the thing there. Anything you guys ever want to talk about, though, just leave a comment. Make sure to let me know. I think that I opened the post up on the wookplus YouTube page, so you could probably go over there and make a post and say, hey, Kev, let's do that. Someone on Wednesday night mentioned Northlands, and we really should have done a festival preview of that, but it just, all of a sudden, I didn't have time. But we do have 3 festival previews coming up. We're going to do Electric Forest, Blue Ox, and High Sierra coming up. We got the Afterfish after shows coming every night, 15 minutes after the encore. We're going to be recapping the night's action. I will be doing Friday mornings. We'll be doing a members only thing on Monday mornings, and we'll still have Live. I think on the 25th, this next Wednesday coming up, we got Scott Marks coming on to do the fishnet preview kind of thing. We love to have Scott on. He's just a wealth of fish knowledge and musical knowledge in general. And the week after that, we may do a Live, we may not. Anyway, the Grammys, they're shaking up their categories for the 68th award show. I'm looking forward to the one in 2027, the 69th. It's going to be February 1st, like you can see there, next year. And the best album cover category is coming back. Now, I guess the timeline is in the 70s, best album cover had its own category. And then recording packages and CDs and all that stuff started to come. So they changed the name of it. They changed the scope of what it does. But this year, they're going to combine best recording package with best box or special limited edition. They're combining those two, and they're going to have a separate one for best album cover. So best recording package is becoming best album cover, and and then they're combining best recording package and best box or special limited edition. Who knows? The Grammys are crap anyway. Other updates included a best traditional country album and a rename of the current best country album to best contemporary country album. So best new artist category has been expanded to include featured artists who'd appeared on prior album of the year nominees' albums, provided that their total playing time was under 20%. These guys, are they kidding me with that? Anyway, all right, one more thing and we're going to get out of here for the day. I was going to do this as a whole video, but so Spotify has been bundling audiobooks into premium subscription in order to pay artists even less money. And apparently publishers and songwriters lost $230 million in the first year after this change. So the recording industry of America projects losses will exceed $3.1 billion by 2032 if the practice continues. So the example they gave was Spotify mechanical payments dropped from $15.78 million in February to $9.58 million in March. And you know that money is just going into the pocket of the guy who owns the thing, who doesn't create music. They're just a middleman. Like I always have said, Spotify is not selling music. Anything that you have to buy a subscription for, that's what the company is selling, is a subscription. They could care less what content is out there, what content is on the platform. That's why Spotify is overrun with AI created crap. And you see this happen to all streaming services eventually. They start to just bring in anything they can, and usually it turns into crap. So I looked a little bit into who paid the best. Apparently Napstar pays the best per stream, but it has such a small subscriber base and low visibility that it's not, I guess, viable for a lot of artists. You have to be on Spotify. You have to try to push the 1,000 listens a month so you can make enough money to buy a ham sandwich. You know, it's pretty crazy. Neat though that Napstar, the one that started the streaming revolution, that the downloading and caused so much consternation with people like the drummer from Metallica, is the one that pays out the most. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. I really appreciate everybody watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're watching this later. Find us on social media, drop a comment, think about becoming a member. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long. We'll see you next Friday.